Have been all week, and it's been a big kick for us. Who wouldn't want to be in this spot? You know how to make a guy feel good. Well, look who's here. I'll tell you, almost, I think perhaps over 50 different films. Here is, by any measure, one of the most successful stars in the history of film, and a woman who found herself at the center of the most talked about. We'd have to say that this is one of the 5 most memorable scenes in the history of film. I speak of the shower scene from Psycho. Here is Janet Leigh. I have a daughter who used to call me Dad every time I spoke. And like all of us, relationships between parents and daughters or sons, in this day and age, you never know what's next. And while we're all struggling to figure out what's best for our kids, I must say that this woman's relationship with her daughter is exemplary, which does not mean it is at every moment perfect, just like the relationship you had. But boy, how proud you must be of this very talented. This is your baby from Halloween, from Trading Places, Perfect, with John Travolta, Love Letters, Annie Oakley, and Shelley Duvall's Tall Tales. Here's Jamie Lee Curtis. You are going to probably, this is not the way I would want someone to open a show featuring my daughter. You called your mother on the night you lost your virginity.
No. Bill, I'm married.
Boy, you don't waste any time.
I'm married.
I mean, you get right to it.
But that bespeaks, that says volumes about your relationship.
We can discuss it if you want.
The point is, who else would a girl want to call? Huh? I mean, that's probably...
People have made a lot of to-do about this, and to me it was just normal. There was nothing different about it. I mean, it was the most obvious thing to do. I can't believe that someone didn't do that with their mom. Well, what? It's not such a bad thing.
What did the little girl from Northern California, small-town ski resort child think when she received that information from her baby daughter?
I just felt so privileged that she would feel close enough to share it a very important time in a girl's life.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little surprised.
Does anybody...
But I
There's
mean...
a woman nodding. You think it's a cool thing, right?
Yeah, everybody says absolutely, but, I mean, there are people
No, but
out
the
here.
point is how much better to share it rather than kind of hide behind
I mean,
doors
it's
and do it that
1985.
way.
I mean, people
At least, we were... Am I talking? Did I...
Jamie?
Didn't I
Jamie?
teach you not to interrupt?
Hi, Jamie. I wanted to ask you, how did you feel growing up with 2 celebrities in your household?
For those of you who've been just released from prison and have not Jamie's father is Tony Curtis.
Unfortunately, not unfortunately, they weren't really celebrities to me. They were people who went, don't do that! I mean, it's funny because people think that because she is a celebrity and because he's a celebrity, that they walked around with, makeup men behind them. They were never, people make me feel like they're celebrities. I don't look at them as celebrities. Other people have always made me feel like they're celebrities.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I was going to say that there was comes a time that because people who are known would come to the house or whatever. They're known to other people, but to the kids they were, Uncle Frank, or they were this, or they had no connection with who.
I never
who
called
they
him
were.
Uncle Frank.
Well, that was a prototype. That was a prototype.
I know.
It
But
was
you...
And you should see what happens when I go up to him now and go, hey, Uncle Frank. Actually, this is great. My godfather's Lou Wasserman, who runs MCA, and when I was doing Operation Petticoat, under contract at the studio, I would go to lunch at the commissary, and I would be wearing one of these outfits, which were very snug, and they were tailored for us, and I was 18 years old, and I would walk into the commissary, and he would be sitting at his table that he always sits at, and I would walk up through the commissary to the back, to the sort of like the guy in charge, and I'd walk up, and he'd stand up, and we would embrace, and we'd kiss each other. And the buzz were like, oh, look what's happening. There's this girl walking up to Lou Wasserman and kissing him on the mouth. And it's so wonderful, because now when I go up and say, hi, Uncle Lou, people look at me like,
sure, kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Janet, say what you want about Janet Leigh. You are an Academy.
Okay.
You are an Academy Award nominee, first of all, and you have worked for a living. You, am I right about 50 films? Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's feature, not the television, after.
How many people were in SAG when you were back in the...
God, I don't know the number.
5,800.
You know that.
8,500.
8,500.
When I started?
Yeah.
You looked this up.
48?
How many now, Jamie?
58,000.
Really?
And 10...
I didn't know that. She continually surprised me, this girl.
No,
Now,
it's just interesting to me because it's a constant sort of question about then and now. And it's just so different now. It's not the same thing.
you were under contract, Janet, to MGM. You are very honest to say in a book you wrote, which I'll be happy to show this audience in a moment, that you were a very naive kid. You knew almost nothing about this fast.
I knew
train.
zip.
And you did what you were told in a way. You're honest about that, too. You stood, you hit the spot, and everybody else worried about camera angles, lighting, and scripts as well? I'm asking. I don't know.
I had very good advice, and one was that one time I made a mistake, the very first picture, and I blocked my leading man, who was an angel, Van Johnson, and, they had to stop. And I was so apologetic. I was always saying, I'm sorry, because I didn't want to make a mistake and do something wrong. He said, don't worry about camera, ever. He said, the camera will find me because it has to find me, because I'm the star and it's going to find me. So don't worry about it. The important thing that you had to do is do a scene.
Right. Except that your deference to the males who made all the decisions at that time got you into things that I think you probably don't want in your time capsule. Now, I shouldn't speak for you, but Howard Hughes gave you more cleavage than the Arroyos out
He
here
also
in
gave me
Greater
a royal headache.
Yeah. He followed you while you were in a car with your boyfriend, and he's following you? Is that...
No. My boyfriend was away, and he had me tailed. He followed me, and then like 2 weeks later, called me for a meeting, which my father drove me to, and gave these papers to me and saying, well, I guess your boyfriend doesn't trust you. And it was in a detailed account of everything I had done. Arrived with a dark-haired lady with white flower on right side. I mean, come on.
You mean he had tailed you, had a detective
He
marked
had a
up?
detective.
He wanted to make you think your boyfriend was crazy.
Exactly. To discredit him in my eyes.
That's pretty close to gaslight, this guy.
Well, what about being kidnapped? I mean, he was...
What do you mean kidnapped? What's it?
He literally kidnapped me I was going on a sailing date, I thought. And all of a sudden we're at Hughes Aircraft or, airfield. And they said, oh, well, what we're going to do is we're going to fly there. It's better than the traffic. Well, we don't fly there. I keep looking for the ocean and the white sails and all that I'm going to go. And we end up at the Grand Canyon. And I'm furious, and I'm upset, and I'm nervous.
How old are you at this time?
Okay, I am about 21, 22.
Yeah. But isn't this a reflection? I know this is a very painful memory for you. You must have been able. Were you able to sleep? It has to be a real awful time of your life. This moment with Hughes.
Well, the idea of being manipulated is what really got me, I think, or having things arranged so that it wasn't your choice. I said to him one time, why don't you just, if you want to ask me out, do it in a normal way. Just don't show up. Why don't you say, Janet, will you have dinner with me? So he said, Janet, will you have dinner with me? And I said, no.
You are certain. What's, I think, important at least to observe here is this would never happen to your daughter. She would never allow it to happen. Her smarts are probably light years more than yours, and I hope you're not insulted by that observation.
No, I think sometimes I feel like she's the mother. I mean, no, she really is smart. She is as great instinctive depth. That was very good.
I believe it.
Jamie Lee, your mother was very apologetic on those occasions when she made mistakes and so on. You are now at a moment in your life when more than a few males would love to have you in their pictures, maybe with your clothes off. Now, I know that you're already on record saying you have no interest in that. Do you assert yourself, and how does an actress walk that line, especially someone your age? You are not yet the most powerful figure in Hollywood, and you don't want to be thought of as difficult. At the same time, your father has reminded you that everything that goes on the film stays forever.
He calls it in perpetuity, which is a clause in the contract that you sign. What it means is, more than anything, is that anything you do is around. This show is on videotape. In 15, 20 years, they can somehow get this show. So whatever I say or do here, I better be accepting of it now before I do it. Right. And you can't say you won't do something, but I'm very getting to the point now where I will risk maybe not becoming the biggest thing that there can be if I'm against something, which has taken me a long time. You know, I've not compromised myself, but I have done some things that maybe I've sort of pushed the way I feel about it away so that I can get a foothold, so that I can make an attempt. Now I've made a point where I say, I believe strongly enough in myself that I'm going to wait. And if they want me to do this sort of role, I'm not going to do it.
You have had a handful of scenes that have been what we call nude scenes. Am I to understand you correctly to say that you're not going to do that anymore?
No. To think that becomes the prerequisite for having you in a movie. It's like that a nude scene. I always felt that the work that I did in the films, the scenes that were involved were scenes that the characters would have had to do. And I'm not going to, I don't want to just sit here and go through each one and tell you why. You don't say no, you look at the material. If the material doesn't warrant it, I won't do it. If the material warrants it, I'll do it. I mean, it's how you feel about it. I mean, I'm not going to just do it to do it.
You were nude for 7 seconds in Trading Places,
right.
And that's all they talked about.
See?
All right.
Wait a minute, those are girls.
Oh, they are girls. How did Mother feel about that, may we ask?
I think that you have to go with what is today. I sort of liken it a little bit to, in Psycho, wearing a bra and a half-slip, because at that time it was as risque as not wearing a bra.
I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't. I mean, in the sense of, I wouldn't, what Trading Places did for my career, I don't think 10 years of work could have done for me.
Is that right?
It did so much for my career.
Well, that's a little bit discouraging, though.
They're 58. No, they're 50. But listen, you think I like saying it? But there are 58,000 people out there, all trying to get jobs.
And they don't make as many movies as they used to make, so that you have more people to make less movies.
Yep.
And half of the earnings that actors make in the Screen Actors Guild, half of them are from commercials. It's very competitive.
Yes, Jamie Lee, a lot of us are mother and daughters here today. I'd like to know how your mother has encouraged you to achieve the things you wanted and how she's gotten in your way.
Wait a minute.
She cannot get in my way because she's too short.
Well, when was the last time you said, Mom?
She doesn't get in my way very much.
Really?
But she said a really great thing, and it's the hardest thing to learn. You know, everybody emulates celebrities. I did when I was growing up. And it wasn't necessarily celebrities, it was other people. If someone had blonde hair and wore it a certain way, I'd do that. And I maybe started to do that when I was an actress, beginning, and I started to add to my sort of like physicality some things that weren't really indigenous to me. And she reminded me that no matter how much I tried, if I didn't stick to what was inherently me, I would not be successful, because they'll find you out.
Right. But isn't it
Because
hard?
that would be phony. You then would be assuming a cloak that didn't fit.
Yes, but what if the director disagrees with you? Do you surrender to his?
It was more of a personal choice. It's not necessarily professionally working. It was more just an attitude, the way I looked.
Yeah.
You know, I look a certain way.
Outward manifestation.
You know, when you're individualistic, when you look like an individual, you don't want to when you're a child.
But
you want to look like everybody else.
But have you looked at dailies and said, "Oh no"? Look at
Watch
this.
me.
Do you?
What time is this on now? Well, sure.
What I mean to say is
Yes.
about the way, not so much your performance as the decisions other people have made that perhaps haven't flattered you. That's my question.
Yes.
And now, what does Jamie Lee do at this time? Is
She starts saying no.
She does, huh?
Yeah.
And you risk whatever label they want to attach to you.
I don't think they will, because I'm not. I try to do it in a way that doesn't mean a loss of respect for the people I'm working with. I don't try to go in and say, look, you're wrong, I'm right, we do it my way. I try to go in and say, you may be right, and I might be wrong, but I'm going to do it my way.
Well,
Let me get it. Yes, ma'am.
it's a discussion, and I just that it's not done with a wrong intent. I think that has a lot to do how someone says no.
But Janet, my sense is that for most of your career, you didn't do it at all.
Some things, but no, I'm a very sort of a placid, agreeable kind of.
And aren't you glad she isn't?
But yeah, but I also wasn't. It's funny. I can fight for things, and I can be very strong with things that are issues, or I believe very strongly in something, or something that's really against my grain. I'm not good at going in with demands, or what am I trying to say? You know what I mean? I'm not good at
I guarantee if there's one thing that she feels something about, and you want to say, no, the other way is the way to think about it, you will not move this woman.
So,
even though she's short.
And we're in Burbank, and we'll be back in just a moment. Look at that happy family. There's Kelly. Up, way up here, Jen.
What? Oh, yeah. What?
We could take the
No, that's
logo
not
out. I mean,
Kelly.
my ego's already gratified.
That is
You
not
can
Kelly. That's not Kelly. That's Alexandra. That's Tony's daughter from
I can't
Christine
see it.
Kaufman, who just had twins. I'm an aunt.
Oh,
Jamie Lee?
yeah. No, that was at the opening of Grandview. That's right.
I know this must be a mundane question, but if you were to have children, being the child of show business parents yourself, would you want your children to go into show business?
If they wanted to.
Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering how old you were when you first saw your mother in Psycho and what you thought about it.
I've been telling this story, guys. I lied. You know, when you're 18 years old and you start a career, and all you have to talk about is the fact that you're famous people's daughter, they always want to know things about, like, first time you saw Psycho. And I made up this great story about seeing it when I was staying up after it was coming on at 11 and, like, pretending to be asleep and then staying up and watching it, and then right when the thing came running in, her going, Mommy, Mom. I don't remember when I saw the movie. I really don't.
It kind of evolved into your character.
And you know how she actually argued with me about that one time, because I said, I don't think you ever did it.
And I thought, yeah,
I
I
did. Oh, yeah. You see?
You felt
To be
obliged
honest-
to entertain
to be
the medium.
honest, and this is going to sound bad, and it's not meant to be, I respect her work, but it didn't have an impact on me, maybe until now as in my professional life. But as a child, you know, as a youngster, it was just...
It was Mommy doing
It was like
what-
Mommy. It wasn't special.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest thing about being someone's daughter and being brought up around this place.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is that I didn't grow up in a little town where every Saturday you went with your 50 cents and you looked at this
Right.
thing and went, someday I'm going to be there.
Because you lived with the people who were in
It
it.
was too practical
Yeah.
for me. It's very practical. I'm not to say that I'm not impressed and starstruck at times. I just don't have that magic, and I really miss that sometimes because I work with people who dreamed all their life to be up there.
Well, it's not realistic to expect to be able to create an illusion for your own child. I mean, that's your mother up there. It's hardly possible.
Yes, I mean.
Let me get a call in. Are you there? Hi.
Yes, I am. I'm a 26-year-old actor, and I think that Jamie should be commended on her integrity and quality of work as an actress and a woman, because so many children of Hollywood royalty have taken their parents' hard work for granted. And I think she's great.
Right.
Thank you. Actually, I thought you said that I should be committed.
Jamie, how did you decide to get into show business?
To make a very long story very short, it was good, he says. Good. I like you, Phil. It was not a big decision. I was going to college. I was studying drama. I was studying, like, doing nothing, in essence. And I was very lucky. I was here at, like, Christmas break, and a manager of actresses who I knew said, you know, they're looking for Nancy Drew. Maybe you should audition. I went, oh, okay. I auditioned. I didn't get it, but they, of course, like, whenever a new face comes around, they go, oh, who was that? So he said, there's interest in you. I stuck around for a month during school when there's a break, and I ended up landing a contract at Universal Studios when I was 18 and got paid $235 a week.
Those of you familiar with Janet's biography know that, you know the old Schwab's drugstore story out here? This woman, this young woman at 19 was Norma Shear visited your
so great.
father's ski lodge. Your father was the...
No, not my father's ski lodge. He was just an assistant desk clerk.
All right. All right.
But thanks.
He was an employee of the ski
It would have been
lodge.
nice. Mom and Dad would have liked that, but that's the
Your
way it goes.
picture at 19 is at a black and white
18,
probably.
yeah.
18 is over the counter where you check in. Is that right?
No, it was on his little tiny desk, and Norma Shear and her husband spent the month of February up there. She saw the picture, and that's where she saw it. He'd just taken a picture of me out in the snow.
It's just amazing.
So she calls up and says, "Come to Hollywood."
No, she gave it to MCA.
MCA
talent
called up and
agencies,
said, "Come to Hollywood."
MCA sent for me, and they took me to see MGM, and I signed a contract, and it was a miracle.
You notice how straight I got this story?
Hi, Jamie. Jamie, what sort of relationship do you have with your father now?
It's as good as it's ever been. You know, for a long time, you know, father, everybody says he's your father. And don't forget, if it was just a normal family where people had regular jobs, perhaps, well, it's hard to try to separate it, even though I don't like to separate it. But anyway, then maybe I wouldn't be told all the time about my father. But, you know, when he's talked to you a lot about and he's not around, it makes you kind of go, well, who is this guy? And I really didn't know him for a long time. I mean, it wasn't that I didn't like him. I just didn't know him. I mean, he was just sort of this guy who was called my father, and I didn't really know him very well. Now, we are friends. I mean, I now call him, he calls me, we talk to each other. But I wouldn't say that I look to him as a father, and I don't think he looks to me as a daughter. I think we look at each other as friends.
We should say that you, last December,
Yay.
and don't forget it, you married Christopher Guest, whose career skyrocketed on Saturday Night Live. Is the caller there? Hi. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm an actress, and I fear that my career won't take off unless I take off my clothes. Now, is my career at a dead end?
No. I worked for 8 years in horror films, and you laugh. I didn't take off my clothes. I didn't swear. I played the girl from the good girl in school, the one who was smart. I was so great. The women's groups all got down on me because here I was, this exploitive actress, right? But I supported everything that's good about women, that they're smart, that they can fight back against aggression, and all of these things, yet all of them were saying, you're an exploitive actress. Then I get a job in trading places where for a small amount of time I have to take off my dress, and now I'm their best friend because now I'm legit. It makes no sense. You don't have to do it. You do not have to do it.
Yes.
Yay.
Are your screamer days over, do you feel?
Are you what?
Screaming, yes.
You know they were there. I mean, Screamer days. You mean as in at home, you mean?
No, Friday the 13th.
No.
Oh, as in
Never
movies.
was in that one. Yeah.
Slasher is over. Is that it? Is that what you mean?
I call them Vegematic movies.
Janet and Jamie, have you always had this good relationship between the two of you, or did it take some years to build up and work at it?
Well, in the beginning, you are a mother, and so that sort of you have to be a disciplinarian. You have to say yes and no and guide and all of the things that a mommy's supposed to do. As they grow and they become people, hopefully that's when you can become a friend. But a friendship has to be earned, you know.
I think the hardest part about it was, you know, it seems so idyllic. I mean, we're sitting here and I see some of you guys and you're all going, and it just sounds like this picture book, you know, that we're like this great pals, and we are. And the hardest part about it is when I was growing up, I almost didn't want that because everybody around me was like, you know, if their mom said something, it was, oh, shut up, Mom. And, you know, shut up, don't you talk to me like that. And it was that type of relationship, and I almost thought, something's wrong here because
yeah.
It's the same thing as when you're an actress. And as, you know, I talk about in the preface of the book, she's a nice lady. And people in this town, I mean, look at the shows we watch on TV. We watch Dynasty. We watch Alexis be the nastiest woman in the world, and we love it. So it's very hard to support these good feelings and feel that it's okay to do that because all around you, people are bitching and complaining and yelling at each other, and it makes you feel funny, but it's a wonderful thing to be able to be a friend. You know?
And it's an admirable relationship, and we'll be back in just a minute. Yes.
Do you have any plans sometime in the future to do a movie together?
Well, we
You did a Love Boat, did you not?
We did a Love Boat when she first started. When you first started. But we've talked about that, and we're not a package deal, and you know, it's not kind of a... but at one point, it would be lovely to do a meaningful story.
You don't want to do necessarily a mother. It just... You go into it with expectations. It'd be nicer if there are two characters who are separate and...
That you really want to do. Yeah.
Janet Leigh's autobiography is titled, There Really Was a Hollywood. Here's a woman who brings no bitterness at all to her memories. She's not here to tell you that everything was fair at every moment.
There is one bitter thing.
What is it?
It's awful. It happens on page 252.
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. You know what it is?
I show up in the book on page 252. I don't get it.
Well, listen, what about Bob? Bob and I have been married for 23 years. Tony and I were married for 10 and a half. And he says, my God, he said, Tony has 170 pages and I have 20? I mean, come on.
Janet, I know you've heard this question 100,000 times before.
It's okay. Let's make it one more.
Okay, well, I just have a hard time looking at you as a grown, intelligent woman, believing the story that you really can't take a shower without the door open.
That is absolutely the truth, so help me.
It's really not just because you get a lot of attention because of it. I mean, people have been bringing it up ever since
I swear to
Psycho
you,
came out.
it's something...
I'll take a picture one day.
That is vulnerable. I am in the tub. I don't.
She doesn't take showers.
I really don't. That's the truth.
Jamie, you look so svelte. How often do you work out?
Svelte? I like that word. I do yoga every day for an hour, and I don't eat a lot of fat, but I weigh the same that I did when I was...
Do you eat red meat?
Not much, no.
Let me get a caller here.
Hello?
Hi, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Jamie, how did your dad feel about seeing you nude, and how did you feel about him watching you?
Very, very strange. I took him to see Love Letters when it opened, and he liked it. I wish that's about as many people saw it in the movie theater, but it's a really fine movie, and I like it a lot. And it was very strange because I forgot. I was all excited. The movie's opening. We went the opening night, and, not a big opening, but just at the movie theater. We're sitting there, and the lights go down, and I'm watching this thing, and about 10 minutes before the first scene, I went, oh, my God. what am I doing? And it was strange, but he was cool.
Is it true they had to turn the cold water on you in the shower scene to get the shock look on your face?
No.
No?
Sorry about that. The water was too warm and made the stuff come off.
Jamie, was a perfect was a disappointment, wasn't it, in the marketplace?
Disappointment.
How do you explain it?
It's very tough to tackle a story about journalists because the people that are going to be the key to getting people to go see it are journalists. And it's a very tricky subject. And, I mean, I think it's got flaws. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a good movie.
I thought it was
I'm
very
you know, I'm disappointed for everybody involved because I think that John is great in it. And
there was a lot of hard work that went into that. It really did.
Jamie, I was wondering, if and when do you plan on starting a family?
Welcome to our show, Jamie.
No, I'm one of my, no, stop it. My best friend, I was wondering if I could say my best friend without hurting somebody else's feelings. My best friend just had a baby. She's an actress. Melanie Griffith just had a little baby, Tippi Hedren's daughter. And she just had a baby, and she's working all the time. I'm thinking about it.
I saw Tippi.
What kind of films can we expect from both of you in the future?
Sorry?
I didn't
Do you have, what films are in work, or do you have any in the pipeline, or are you working on it?
This is known as the waiting period. If you watch my foot, you'll notice how much. It's difficult. I'm trying to find something that I really care about.
That you want to do?
Yeah. How interested are you in working, Janet?
Not a lot. I do one or two things a year, but very little. I'm writing a novel.
Janet, do you ever give constructive criticism to your daughter, and does she accept it?
I tell you, I really kind of toned down advice. I try to do it in generalities so that it doesn't become a personal kind of thing. And she doesn't always take counsel when it comes. It's later that all of a sudden she goes, you know what I think I'm going to do?
There's
and
nothing,
it kind of comes that way.
Taking counsel is a very difficult thing. And people think that when you're actors, that as a family, you sit around talking about acting. And, oh, you were good in that, honey, except in that scene, I thought perhaps,
we don't do that. No.
A little, it's not that way. It's just, it's more on, she doesn't like the way I dress and stuff,
No, sometimes.
Mom stuff,
No, but it's funny because sometimes it'll come back. You'll say something that we talked about, 6 months ago, and then all of a sudden she's espousing on this.
It really does sound like you did not get a whole lot of criticism from your mom growing up.
No, I didn't.
Boy, that just might be the whole ballgame right there.
Well,
I'm telling you.
She got discipline, not criticism. Okay, a different word.
Yeah,
different word.
But it's an entirely different idea, too.
Yeah.
People are learning that you can't make somebody into something.
Especially by criticism.
Whatever they are, they will be, and you should cherish it. And it's, And
if... Just very quickly, how important it is to concentrate on positive things, because that's kind of, then their minds go toward that. They say, gee, I did something good, instead of, ooh, you did something bad.
In our culture, we are, my yoga master tells me this, and I know it sounds sort of yoga master, like I'm Namyo Renge-kyo, and I'm not. No, he talks about that in the West, that we are jack of all trades, masters of none. And that, so much of our culture now is sort of like a sampling of little things. It's so great to just sort of give somebody one thing that they want to do and be good at it, whatever it be. It's wonderful to see mothers and families supporting people who do what they want to do.
Miss Curtis, very briefly, you saw
Mrs. Guest.
Mrs. Guest.
Please.
You didn't have to enjoy that correction that much. I'm in here trying to make a living.
I know. So am I.
Mrs. Guest,
yes,
you
sir.
Saw your husband's picture in Rolling Stone magazine and called his agent and said, I'd like him to call me. Is that a true story?
Yeah.
You are something.
Now and that I never taught her.
No, you never taught her that.
I never taught her that.
And he didn't call.
No, he didn't. I didn't know anything about him. I saw this wonderful face in this picture in this magazine, and I was single, and I went, boy, is he handsome. And I found out a little bit about him and saw this movie that he'd done called This Is Spinal Tap, which was just so great.
Yeah.
Good movie. And I called his agent and said, da-da-da-da, and he said, okay, I'll give him your number. This is strange. And I went, yeah, I know, I've never done this. Hung up, never called for about 2 months. And it was only about 2.5 months later, I was in a restaurant and happened to see him. We sort of did one of these things across the room, and then he called the next day.
He called the next day?
Yes, he did call finally.
Wasn't that way when I was little?
And I've never done that.
You know what's really redeeming about this? You had to sit there waiting for somebody to call you to the senior prom. And we are girls, young women.
Oh, I mean, a woman never, a girl never calls a guy.
Isn't this better, though?
It's more honest, I think, sure.
And we'll be back in just a moment. You have told us all about this, Janet, in your biography. You were married at age 14. You know, you're going, oh, and we should, you know, a lot of girls were then. I'm sure it wasn't altogether that common, but it was more common then than it is. You got married because that's what girls did before they did what you know what, right?
That's exactly, what you said is exactly right.
But it's also freedom, I think. It meant...
Well, it also meant because of not being uprooted and moving and feeling that I could stay where I wanted to stay, and that would solve everything. If we got married, then that would mean I could stay there.
And your parents couldn't object because you got married.
That's right.
It certainly was better than, you know what, you know, just like not having a piece of paper. You know, it's amazing, isn't it, when you think of, that's like another planet.
I know it. It's changed so much. As long as it's, you know, not used wrongly, I mean, promiscuously, it is a healthier attitude today because it's more open and honest. I just hate to see it misused, that's all. But what I came through was not right because it wasn't honest. And it made people do things they really innately shouldn't.
How long did that marriage last?
A day.
A day. You know, you must be grateful you weren't born then, Jamie. I mean, you didn't have to grow up at that time when girls actually felt that was what was necessary.
Hi. Was there any roles that either of you turned down that you later regretted?
Yeah. It's, you know why? I try not to say it because then whoever got the job, if they feel like, oh, wait a minute, I thought I was the first one to get it. It makes them feel bad and there's no need to do it.
That's a good point.
But because there's nothing worse than reading. I've read many times where I have maybe been up for something and I've heard an actress say, oh, yeah, well, I beat out Jamie Lee Curtis, and it makes you go, well, why do you have to say that, honey? I mean, it's not...
Yeah, that's not very nice.
Is that your answer, Janet?
Yeah.
Jamie Lee, how'd you like working with, no. The comedian, I can't think of his, Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. I wish I had better stories about Eddie, because I guess Ass did a lot. You know, we didn't really have a lot to do together. We had a couple scenes together.
You were with Dan.
He's great. You know, he's very young. He sleeps a lot, and he's very funny. I mean, that's really what... he would show up, he'd take a nap, he'd do his stuff, and he'd go home.
We are running out of time, so I'm going to try and get... Are you there? Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to make the comment that with all the Mommy Dearest books that are out, it's so refreshing to see a mother and daughter who actually see the genuine feeling that they have.
Jamie, I wanted to know, how did growing up in Hollywood with the intrusion of the media into your private life shape your personality?
Yeah, I noticed your pictures there. You had to deal with fan magazine pictures. Was that a bug?
No, it wasn't. That stuff didn't bother me.
You didn't really know what that was.
I didn't know what was, you know, something.
No, because, Daddy always took pictures.
Janet, you look terrific. How do you keep your shape and your look?
Thank you very much, and God gave me good genes.
Yes.
I'd like to ask Jamie, did you have any strong professional interests besides actressing?
Other professions?
Interests?
No. But at the time, you know, again, as we were talking about, one friend of mine and I, the worst time for a human being is when they're like 18 and 19 and everybody's saying, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to be a dentist. And you're going, you have no idea what you want to be. So I don't really know what else could have happened. It just happened that this happened.
Yes, Jamie, I know your mother has written a book about what it was like in Hollywood. Have you started or thought about writing a book?
No.
Over here,
No.
please.
Yeah, I was wondering, I know on your own talent you'd have made it without famous parents and all, but I wondered, does it really help? Do they help open any doors at all, like calling up a friend that's a casting agent or whatnot?
It would if that had happened. I'm sure that had they done that, it would. I'm sure that would help at one point, but the hardest thing, because everybody out there will be sitting here going, yeah, sure, honey.
No, I tell
it's
you
very
what,
difficult because it doesn't happen that way. It's too much of a business.
Does it bother you that some people might think that's the reason?
It bothers me that they think, but there's nothing.
Janet.
There's nothing I can do to change it.
Mom? Go ahead, Mom.
I just wanted to make one quick point about that was that it may open a door, but once you get inside that door, the guy sitting behind the desk goes like this and says, okay, kid, show me. And it's worse sometimes by having parents who are known rather than a complete stranger.
Hi, Janet. This is me and my mom here.
Hi,
what
Mom.
kind of good advice do you have for moms and daughters?
Love one another, be patient, try, and work. Every relationship takes work.
Jamie, do you feel that if you hadn't done the Screamer movies, you wouldn't have progressed as far as you have?
Very possibly, yes.
Yes.
How delicately did Hitchcock handle that shower scene with you?
How delicately?
Incidentally, I looked it up. It was a 1960 film. Yeah, how about it? You mean with the grips?
Well, you were young, and
I'm not sure I follow the question. Excuse me.
How did he handle that with you? The shower scene, the nude scene.
I wouldn't know.
She wore a moleskin.
So there was no handling. I wore a moleskin. No, that's why I was confused. I didn't quite understand what you meant.
Jamie Lee?
I wore a
Are there any particular leading men that you'd like to work with?
Oh boy, no. I mean, not in. No, I mean, there's nobody that just sort of goes, yeah.
Yes.
Bill Hurt would be terrific. I like Bill Hurt a lot.
Does Janet have any other children, and are they in film?
I have another daughter named Kelly, who is beautiful and is an actress in New York.
Yes.
Janet Leigh, I don't think that good mothering is an accident. What did your mother do to support your career?
Well, she really I guess, she doesn't have much to do with it, but just the fact that she supported me, I guess, and helped.
But you don't recall, was your relationship with your mother as good as yours is with Jamie Lee, is it?
No.
Uh-huh.
No, it wasn't.
Your mother was more distant? It's none of our business. Maybe you're not comfortable talking.
No,
Here's
Mom,
the point. Everybody's struggling with this, I mean, we all want... I mean, this is really nice. Everybody would like to have this kind of relationship, so we're trying to figure it out. Thanks for letting us peek in.
Well, I just think that, as I said, a relationship has to be earned. And Mom and I loved each other very much, and I felt close. I didn't have the rapport with her as much as I feel that we do. I don't know whether it's because she didn't have an interest in the business. I don't know what it was. I just didn't have that kind of rapport.
Our family isn't necessarily what some people think is like that sort of normal nuclear family. There's very rarely that I end up coming home, putting my head on her shoulder. About 2 times a year, I'll come in and just go, But most of the time, it's just because we both work. I think we're more like friends. I mean, it's not this mommy-daughterish type of thing, except for this odd day when I come in and squash her.
And we'll be back in just a moment. It gives me no joy to tell you that this, alas, is our last show on this visit to Southern California and Los Angeles. We love you. We're going to miss you. I know this audience joins me in thanking, too, a great mother-daughter relationship for sharing them with us. Thanks to Jamie and Janet. Let me say also, all right, Gordon Morris, you never yelled at me in front of the audience all week. Thank you for your help. And thanks also to John Rohrbeck, the boss here at KNBC in Los Angeles. Thanks also to Bill Landers, Larry Goitia, Mary Maggio, John Spence, Sandra Willis, Regina Miyamoto, Vince Massey, and all the people you see on your screen. A very professional crowd. Thank you to the Pages, and thank you. We hope you had a nice time.
Provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
Presenting the Volvo 700 Series station wagon. You can not only store things inside, you can stack things on top.
You can beautify and protect metal surfaces with quality True Test XO Rust Red Metal Primer, aluminum paint, and gloss enamel from True Value Hardware stores.
Airline services for the Donahue staff provided by American Airlines, your airline to Hawaii, Mexico, the Caribbean, Canada, and Europe. While in Los Angeles, staff and guests of the Donahue Show stay at the fashionable Le Mondrian Hotel on Sunset Boulevard. Le Mondrian is a L'Hermitage hotel.